feeling overwhelmed with life, work, everything. Oftentimes, this energy of overwhelm can come into our lives during moments of transition, during moments where we actually are being prepared for growth, for change. The inevitable constant of change can often mimic energies like stress, like overwhelm, like feeling burdened by anything and everything life itself.
Hi, my name is Shasta May Hernandez, they, them, their pronouns, and I am your non-binary spirit guide.
Now, in hopes of inspiring a perspective shift, I present the idea of overwhelm to you as abundance, as an abundance of energy. And that reframes overwhelm and puts a positive spin on it without taking away everything that is going on for you. Everything that you're feeling presently is valid and true. And everything that is going on for you may feel stressful, may feel burdensome, may feel overwhelming. And all of those energies are shadow sides of the same coin of abundance, of something that is leading you toward growth, toward the inevitable change that is happening in your life, whether you chose it or not. And learning the cycle of change, the cycles of transition, what I call the timeline of allowance, really enables you to be able to move through these cycles of overwhelm, of burden, of stress that inevitably come with being a human, that inevitably come with life, and oftentimes with transition, with growth. It helps you to be able to navigate those moments, at least with more awareness, more understanding, more patience and compassion, not only for yourself, but everything that's going on around you, people, situations, circumstances, all of it. And while that might not feel always the best, the outcome on the other side is generally one of more. And now this is a choice, right? The way that we look at these energies is a choice. And you can choose to see them as a negative, or you can choose to see them in this way. And by seeing them in this way as abundance, by learning the process of change and growth and transition in your life, particularly how those patterns have played out, and the vision that you have for your future, the goals that you have for your future, and what steps you may need to take in order to achieve those, or just generally as life happens, right? There are so many life circumstances that happen to many people in a lifetime of a human being, that if you can learn how you are currently navigating those, how you currently are seeing your life, even in times of burden, even in times of stress, even in times of overwhelm, and then how you respond to your own perspective of that overwhelm, burden, or stress, and then the outcome of that, right? Not only the perceived outcome, but the tangible, real results that happen as a result of you moving through that, and how that may be different based on not only your perspective, but your attitude and the actions that you take while moving through the overwhelm, the stress, the burden. All of those things play into how you navigate change. And navigating changes has been something that I've been teaching. I teach live workshops on navigating change, and a part of learning to navigate change is knowing the timeline of allowance, is knowing how change occurs, the different phases that we move through in terms of change. Learning that process can help you navigate not only these times of overwhelm, right, but a lot of the other things that we've gone over in this channel and that we may go over in the future. It can really help in navigating these moments and having more awareness, which is what I'm working on and what I have been building on this channel, is creating more awareness, bringing more light to different energies, to different concepts, ideas, to different states of being in this life. I find really helpful in navigating, right? Just generally life. Oftentimes these aren't things that we are readily talking about, though particularly in this video, overwhelm, stress, burden, these are often things that people complain openly about. My current perspective is that there's a way that people have, sometimes it's a complaining type energy, but oftentimes it's just a sharing, right? Sharing that burden in community, just also sharing openly, letting others know where you are in life. Sometimes sharing your burdens, what is stressing you out, what is making you feel overwhelmed, can help others gather around you, to not only listen and be there for you as a form of support, but also to help, right? To inspire ways that others might be able to help lighten your load as you navigate the changes that you're currently going through, as you navigate the overwhelm and the stresses and the burdens. And that can be a really beautiful way to also move through these energies, to lighten your load, to create a bit more ease, right? To give yourself a bit more grace as you're moving through this. Also, I find that actively doing things that not only can fill your cup, but can allow you to move through these, while sometimes also hopefully pouring from an overflowing state, right? Really knowing what you need, not just during these moments of overwhelm and stress or burden, but also in your more balanced states, right? Really understanding yourself, knowing what you need, knowing what you might want, right? Really paying attention to these moments of transition and change and saying, okay, at this stage in life, what can I really do? Or what will I really need provided or help with in order to move through this from a place of, whatever adjective you want to use. I often use from a place of groundedness, from a place of strength sometimes. Sometimes if I'm looking to bring more compassion into a space or more peace into my life, I often use those, and just blanketly, I ask often, how can I invite more love into this? What can make this feel more loving to me? How can I lovingly move or lovingly take action through this transition, not only for myself, but outwardly in the world? It's not always perfect, right? But it helps. And asking these questions of yourself, of your own subconscious, of your higher self, will inspire something within you or some action outside of you. Or maybe it's a moment where you reach out and you ask for help and you just know who to ask, right? Or often, if you're somebody who's into prayer and meditation and energy work, you can attract that person or the help that you need for whatever it is that you're doing, right? As an example, I have another YouTube channel which will be ending, but there was a time where I was wanting to really grow that, and I didn't know how to do that simultaneously while doing these other things that I do in my life. And the universe sent me somebody to help me. She's a wonderful soul, and she's been such a great addition to my team, and somebody that I have been able to lean on for help with that. And now, as I'm embarking on this YouTube channel, I am now inviting her to maybe help me with this channel if there's a way to take off some of the burden off my shoulders with this moving forward. And so we're kind of working on how happen sometime in the future. And little things like this I find happen when I place more energy and attention on the energy of what it is I want on the other side, which is to feel a certain way as I move through change or transition, and also energy and attention and intention on attracting, right? Or asking universe or spirit, hey, please show me the way, lead me, guide me, show me the way, either to that person or to the path or the way that will help me with this thing. And focusing on one thing at a time, I find is also really helpful. Another thing that you might want to think about when moving through not only transition but feelings of overwhelm and stress are taking a greater perspective. And you might think about doing this literally and or figuratively. Figuratively, you can do this in meditation or doing visualization work and moving your internal perspective or your third eye vision outward, right? Taking yourself out of this very narrow view of what your overwhelm and stress and burden really feels like, and that oftentimes is focused on one thing or many things all at one time. And so taking this moment to really move back and say, okay, from this place of higher self or from this place of greater perspective, right? I'm gonna move outside of what is all right here, and I'm gonna see the greater picture. And you can take a moment to even revisit, why it is you're doing what you're doing, what your greater vision or goal is for that project, that work route, that relationship, or just all the things that you're taking on at this time. What is the greater vision that you're actually working toward, and why are you working toward that? And is everything that you're currently doing in alignment with that? Do all the pieces add up? And if that feels like a lot, oftentimes just kind of sitting back with it, right? Meditation and mindfulness are really great for this, getting very present in the body and then taking steps back out of that can really help. If you haven't done my video on energy, the energy bubble, that can be helpful in terms of clearing energies around you that might feel overwhelming and stressful, and then moving from that place to be able to take a higher perspective within the self and a moment out of everything that is currently stressing you or burdening you or overwhelming you. Now, literally, one of the things that I really like to do is to go to a high viewpoint. Wherever I am in a city, I look to find the highest view. If you live in a city or a town that is relatively flat, maybe this is going into a building that's higher up, so that you can then take a literal higher, greater perspective outside of the place that you are and just take in the view. I also like to do this in nature, going up into mountains. Trees are my happy place. I also very much connect with red hawk energy and eagle energy and owl energy. So going up to a really high point where I can perch and, watch from above, if you will, is really helpful for me in my life in general. And then also getting out into nature can be really grounding as you're moving through these energies and moving through any transition at all. And I find the energy of trees to be really beneficial in terms of having energies to lean on while also being able to soak up such deep ancient wisdom, because trees carry so much of that energy for us. And oftentimes I will take offerings with me, because I will also ask, the earth, the trees, the mountain itself, if it can take any of my burdens, my overwhelm, and my stress. I also ask this of the universe, of my guides, my angels, my ancestors, and really allow those things to be taken off of me as much as possible. And especially if I'm visiting a high point, I try to bring things as an offering. Oftentimes it's liquids or some, food and things like that that I can leave as a gift to honor the energy that I will also be receiving from this planet. And I find it to be a very literal, healing, grounding energy every time that I do this. Just taking a moment, to take in the view. Oftentimes, if it's high enough or if it's a windy day, it's also very clearing with the air. Taking like what you might call a wind bath is really special and just lovely, especially with a great view. And I find just a moment away can help kind of tame or calm all of the energies that are going on, not only within, but without as well, and allow you at the very least to be able to move step by step. Sometimes, even as a bonus, you might come out with a clearer perspective. You might come out with more answers than you really even went into with questions, right? You might come out feeling just re-energized, recuperated in some ways, because the grounding nature of Earth also replenishes us at the same time. And so if you feel any way called to nature during these moments, I highly, highly recommend that you follow that calling wherever it takes you. And if you find that taking in a higher viewpoint at some point helps you as well, and helps to shift your perspective and your energy as you move through these energies of overwhelm, of stress, of burden, please let me know in the comments below how that impacted you, where you went. And these energies are ones that are necessary to our human experience, as much as we might not like to feel them. There are just certain things that we go through as humans, and they might not ever get easier, but at least we find different ways of navigating, ways that are specific to each of our individual lives and bodies and energies and spirits and souls, right? And I hope that you have found some inspiration of how to navigate these in a different way today and moving forward. If you'd like to connect with me further, please check the description box below and you will find all of those links, and I will see you in the next video.